Hello, Internet. Welcome to episode 28 of the Braindrizzle podcast. With me, as always, is Jack, and returning to the show, our first return guest, Jonathan, a.k.a. the Gentleman Physicist. Thank you for coming back.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, since we've had such bad luck getting some new guests, we thought we'd do kind of a Hostful Plus episode. So it's going to be the same format, where it's just us talking about news, but we have a guest co-host to also do that with. So I think, if you guys don't mind, I'll go first, and then Jack and John can have a knife fight to figure out who goes last.
Hey man, I've seen that Beat It video by Michael Jackson so many times, you're going down.
Okay guys, I don't want to alarm you, but my first story is freaking awesome.
Ooh.
So first, human brain-to-brain interface. Now, if anyone read up on the mouse brain-to-brain interface, it's a different group, and I don't remember the details of that so much, but it was kind of underwhelming. This, however, is freaking awesome. So, researchers on different sides of the campus, University of Washington, by the way. So, one researcher is wearing an EEG, scanning their brain and stuff, and they're playing a brain-based video game. So if they think about, but not actually move their hand, it triggers a button.
I see.
And fires a cannon in the game. On the other end, they had a magnetic coil placed over a certain region of the brain. The magnetic coil was for transcranial magnetic stimulation.
Is this on the other person?
Yes.
Okay.
So, when the person on one hand thought about moving the arm and triggering the button, it triggered the magnet, and the person on the other hand involuntarily sorry, one second. Involuntarily pressed the spacebar on a keyboard.
Okay.
So, one person thinks about it, and the other person moves.
But does that mean the person can't not move the spacebar on a keyboard? Like, they have to do it? Or?
They described it as like an involuntary tick. So if they were really thinking about it, they could prevent it, but it was like a reflex.
Okay. Or even creepier, they wanted to press the spacebar.
Yeah, but it was like, so like it was completely dependent on when person A thought about moving.
That's pretty cool.
Are you shitting me? That's amazing.
Dude, I am freaking out right now.
I know, right?
What half hell rot? Like, seriously, man, they're gonna, like, develop this, and they're gonna, like, have motherfuckers building the shit in their garage, and shit's gonna go too far.
Like, obviously, they had the magnet in a very specific spot to trigger the right neurons, but I could envision, like, an entire helmet where it's like you can precisely trigger virtually any part of the brain.
This thing's gonna get fully developed and put on the market, and then a year later, it's gonna be fucking banned.
Like when I read this, I'm like, so this is a thing happening on Earth with, like, humans, not in the future?
Yeah. That future where we all know that we don't live in the future, it's, you know, a different humanity that lives there. It's not the same one.
There was a movie about this a little while back, wasn't there? Like Gamer or something?
Yeah, I think there was, where basically, like, death row inmates were controlled by players, and there was, like, a death match.
Holy shit.
That looks like a future we have to look forward to now. Awesome.
But dude, no, I fucking emailed one of the head researchers on this project, Rajesh Rayo, and he suggested I email one of the PhD students working with them, so we might have one of these guys on as a guest in the future.
Oh my god! So I can scold this guy, like, not really face to face, but I can scold this guy and record it?
Fuck you, I'm volunteering.
Well,
they're in Seattle. That's fucking close. I am, like, and even in this article they mentioned, like, for disabled people who can't communicate, they basically, like, think I'm hungry, and that would trigger something in their tendon.
Holy shit. Oh man, you're just looking for a way to play video games.
I'm just looking for a way to be a supervillain.
Oh shit.
But that seems like a bad idea, because suddenly you can't blame your minions for your screw-ups anymore. Like, at least you could, like, you know...
Not necessarily, because you basically, like, you don't necessarily have, like, fine control. Like, you just make them, like, feel something, like, go do that. Like an urge to do something.
Okay.
That's what it seems. Like, I don't think they have, like, fine control over, like, which fingers are moving.
This is freaking me the fuck out, man.
That's slightly comforting, to be honest. A little bit.
Oh, but I'd figure that out, too.
Is there a possibility of them developing this and making it less like an involuntary tick and more like a compulsory movement, like in the fucking cartoons?
I don't know. Right now it seems like whoever is being controlled, quote unquote, needs to, like, let it happen.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know, man. I want to try so bad.
So there will be no helmet-induced, like hitman. There'll be no more. So there will be no helmet hitman who induce suicide in their targets and then remove the helmet and all trace that they were there.
I mean, how do you get the helmet on the person?
Ninja skills?
I guess maybe if they were, like, sedated, or like, oh, I wonder if this would work on a coma patient.
You mean you could control someone in a coma, or the person in a coma could control something outside?
Either way, because it depends on what part of their brain is damaged.
Oh, so if they had something like locked-in syndrome, they could communicate with the outside world.
Yeah.
Because I was under the impression, or at least according to an episode of House, as however accurate that is.
I saw that episode.
Yeah, they can control cursors even on a screen.
Yeah, no, that's real. Because I mean,
yeah,
that's what the game they were using was based on.
Okay, that makes sense. Because
I'm super excited about this. I'm just saying.
So they went from controlling cursors to people.
Basically, again, it's very preliminary, but I'm just warning everybody, like humanity, if they take up my offer to volunteer, that's it. I'm basically a supervillain.
Look out, world, man! I'm glad I'm your friend.
I'm so excited about this. Yeah, I don't even know if I should do my second story, because I'm so not into it, and it's really weird because it's like 3D organ tissue engineering, which usually, I'm all for.
Well, let's hear it, and we can talk about how lame it is compared to the last story.
Basically, instead of like printing an organ layer by layer or any other way, researchers tried like basically implanting hydrogel threads with different cell types, so epithelial cells for blood vessels and like any other tissue type, and then they basically like weave the threads together to make a more stable printed organ.
Okay, I'm waiting for this like organ printing technology to find a safer and natural looking alternative to silicone implants.
That'd be good. Oh, I should 3D print the whole person except for the frontal lobe.
So, was this thing was this thing 3D printed? Like, was it say a heart that was printed in 3D and then they wove stuff through it, or?
No. I said that badly. Instead of 3D printing the organs layer by layer, because that doesn't necessarily result in the best vasculature through the tissue. They basically have like threads that are epithelial cells and threads that are whatever the organ is, and then they weave those together so that after they grow, the tissue has a better network of blood vessels.
That honestly, I think that one's a bit cooler than the first story. I think it's really neat, the idea of being able to weave together bits of a human. Kind of creepy, but
again, if you combine the stories, then you're onto something.
Yeah, they could definitely make a better implant out of that. Because, seriously, bags full of silicone gel, or even the ones that are full of saline, still have silicone covers, which actually start to flake off inside the body. Okay, my grandmother had her boobs removed because she had cancer, and she got silicone implants afterward, right? And she actually, it was silicone, and one of them burst open, and she actually now has, like, permanent muscular damage from that. I'm sorry, but a woman goes through the hell that is breast cancer, and then she has to, and basically her options are either leave her body mutilated or get implants that might give her another problem in the future. Fuck that. To grow new breast tissue, for God's sake, it's not frivolous, it's not useless, it's a part of a person's body. And if a part of a person's body gets mutilated or removed or taken off, I mean, do you know what that does to a person psychologically? And women are just told to shut up and suck it up and take it. Or better yet, when a dude loses a testicle, you know, they're just told, well, at least you have two. Fuck. I'm all for this. Well, that first story was still cooler.
Yeah, would there be issues with actually printing breast material though? Because it's like isn't part of the issue the actual material became cancerous? So would that reintroduce a cancer risk? Or
I guess it depends on what cells you used. If you used like some of the patient's own cells, you could probably modify them to get rid of the cancer risk, theoretically.
Yeah, because I remember reading somewhere that there's certain people with very high genetic chance of developing breast cancer, and seems using their cells to grow new breast tissue might just bring the problem back. But
yeah, but again, for those BRCA1, BRCA2, you just swap out the one gene in the cells you're growing for the new tissue, and then boom, Bob's your uncle. Because I mean, you switch one gene on or off, or swap it with a working copy, it's not going to cause any immune issues.
Okay. Yeah.
So theoretically that could work.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we can and can't do with biology. I'm always surprised when I see it on a website. It's like, oh, we can do this now.
Well, yeah, apparently we can control people with our brains now. So that's a thing.
I will hijack someone's brain and force them to develop to force them to bioengineer me a alternative to breast implants. That will be my contribution to the world.
Okay, so who wants to go next?
Okay, alright, Johnny boy, you and me, let's fight.
Go ahead.
You're no fun.
I'm a pacifist. Well, not really, but over the internet, yes.
So you back down when you're not in hitting range?
Yes.
Makes sense.
Alright, man.
Before we move on, so John, you and I are pretty close to each other. The first story is from Seattle.
Yep.
Will you be my guinea pig if they set me as a volunteer?
Not in a million years, man.
Damn, worth a shot.
You are correct, sir.
I think it's kind of creepy, the idea of having someone controlling your muscle movements.
It is, but that's the fun.
Yeah, that's just the icing on top.
All right.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Moving on. Death anxiety increases atheist unconscious belief in God. Yeah, suck it. I'm an atheist too, but still. Suck it. No, seriously. I struggle with it sometimes because belief was such a part of me for such a long time. And I think other people also struggle with it. And other people must struggle with it because I can't be the only one. And I think it's kind of messed up that that people try to be macho and hide that. Anyway, no, seriously, the new University of Ontario, they did these tests, right? Where basically they had there was 265 people. There was one group and then there was a control group. They got randomly assigned to either a death priming group or the control group, and they asked the death group to write about their own death, and they asked the control group to write about watching television. And the first study, they found that the death prime people consciously reported greater belief in religion and God and spirits and whatnot, and then significantly more than the death prime people. And something that they noticed was that the religious ones said that they believed in it more. The non-religious ones basically were more adamant about their disbelief than the non-religious ones who just wrote about television. However, they did a second test, right, where they death primed believers and non-believers, right? And when they sat the non-believers down in the chair, and they had to push a button for either yes or no for belief in God. Do you believe in God or do you still not believe in God, right? Anyway, the religious ones, after the death priming, just hit the button real fast. Just bam, yep. The non-religious ones actually paused for a second. There was hesitation, they sat and thought about it before they hit the "fuck yeah, I'm an atheist" button.
I really hope that that's what the button actually said.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so there was this one other study, I can't remember, where people who were born blind and deaf, when they're finally able to communicate, they report just an innate belief in God.
Yeah.
So, the whole belief in God thing might actually be a matter of instinct.
I remember hearing one of the preachers who went through the clergy project. Priests who needed an out because they lost their faith, and he was talking about how he's of the experience that some people have a very strong innate belief, they can sort of, even though they're an atheist, they can feel like God's with them when they on command, whereas other people that entire concept feels, from personal experience, completely foreign to me. So I wonder if it's sort of, if there's some, if there's some people who are more prone to a belief in a higher power.
Yeah. Maybe it has something to do with if you grow up with greater awareness of danger or something like that. Or there could be some kind of trigger for it in the epigenome, maybe, or even just in the brain, because apparently belief in God is something that people use to calm their own anxiety about death. So if you're in a situation where you get confronted by your own mortality, then you might be I know that I felt myself strongly drawn back to paganism before, and a lot of my old pre-Christian beliefs. Like, that's what I get drawn back to. I don't get drawn back to Christ at all. I get drawn back to the Lord and Lady, and I guess beings that you could call Orishas, or spirits, or gods, or, Kame, whatever. But yeah, that's something I've definitely experienced, and it seems to coincide with periods where I feel that I'm at risk, or that I'm, at a point of instability.
I mean, that makes sense. The only bad thing about this study is that the religious can now say, "See, there's no atheists in foxholes. See."
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: no atheists in foxholes. Okay, if some fucked up shit is going down, like, even atheists will admit that, hey, if my daughter were in danger, I would sit down and pray. I don't give a fuck. Or, if there was if a bunch of people are attacking me, I'd just sit down and pray, even if I didn't believe. I don't give a fuck. They're still atheists. They just happen to be praying while they're in the foxhole. And then once the danger subsides, or in my case, once everything stabilizes back again, that urge subsides. At least that's been my experience.
I mean, the few times I've gotten in over my head in mountaineering stuff, where it's like, okay, if I fall here, I am probably done for. I've never, in one situation in particular where the memory is really clear, I can't remember thinking, reaching out to someone else. I remember being very sort of, okay, you gotta get yourself out of this, and then sort of doing what I had to do to get out of the situation.
Well, I think maybe it's different kinds of... I think, John, in your situation, there was something you could directly do to make yourself safer. Whereas, perhaps, if the threat is, less under your control, then you would feel the urge, maybe?
I could probably see that.
Because, you're climbing, and, something is not looking so great, you have to focus to fix it.
Yeah, waiting around probably would not help in that situation.
Exactly. Whereas, a foxhole situation, or just thinking about it abstractly, there's, nothing you can really do to avoid it.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I'm just talking out of my butthole, so,
Yeah. But, let's see. When I read this story, I had this, weird fantasy about my own funeral. And I had, this weird notion of, if I die of cancer, I'll have the funeral early so I can say my own eulogy. Then afterward, I'll give back the coffin and then donate my body to science. That was just a random thought that I had while I was reading this story. But yeah, I mean, there have been several times when I've been directly confronted with my own mortality.
So you're gonna donate your body to science, you say?
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
What kind of science?
I don't know yet. I didn't... God, I didn't know that that's something you could choose. I mean, I'm gonna have him take all the usable organs, and...
But, I'm just saying, you have a friend who could use a spare body. I'm just saying.
So you would be like Krang to my... God, what was the name of that, big brainless clone guy that Krang would walk around in the old Ninja Turtles from the 90s? Crap.
Did it have a name?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it did. But yeah, I would be that thing.
Was it Kodo?
How about the headless body of Agnew from Futurama?
There you go.
Headless clone of Agnew.
Yeah.
Alright. I'll be Agnew, you'll be Krang.
No, Agnew is controlled by Richard Nixon. Oh fuck, I'm Richard Nixon, aren't I?
Yeah, well, the thing is, Krang is more of a crazy villain.
I don't know. Have you seen Richard Nixon in Futurama?
I have.
He's definitely not sane. He's
Nixon. So, Anyway,
Moving on. Okay, so my next story is... Let's see, apparently language can reveal things that you wouldn't normally notice. Okay, so they did this thing where they had like, they had a whole bunch of people, like, sit, and they strapped this apparatus to their heads. I'm assuming unwillingly. And, let's see, in one eye was shown, like, a picture or something, either a pumpkin, a kangaroo, or a chair. And then the other eye, there was, like, flashing squiggly lines, basically just noise. And they told people, can you see something? And a lot of people just like, no, they couldn't make out a shape because of all the visual noise. If they told people to look for a pumpkin, can you see a pumpkin? They'd be like, yeah, I can see a pumpkin. But if they told them to look for a kangaroo when it was actually a pumpkin, like basically if they told them to look for a pumpkin when there was a picture of pumpkin, they saw the pumpkin. If they were told to look for a kangaroo when there was the picture of the pumpkin, they didn't see jack shit. Like, trying to pick out the kangaroo actually made them less likely to see the pumpkin, just based on, I guess, brain scans, or however they determined that. They did, though. They did. I promise.
Basically, like their clarity of vision was directly influenced by what they were told.
Yeah, exactly. So, basically, what they're thinking is, like, language... It's like language's ability to frame contexts actually directs our attention and our expectations enough that it affects how we interpret what senses we take in. They think it might work for all the other senses also.
That's cool.
Did they say if it mattered which eye the pumpkin image was shown in? Like, because I know for epilepsy, if they sever the hemispheres and you put like a box of matches in someone's hand and tell them to figure out what it is, one hand can figure it out, like, oh, it's a booklet of matches. One hand can't. So is it something similar with the eyes, where like one eye you can always tell it's a pumpkin, but the other one you have to be told it is?
Well, you have to keep in mind that when you separate the hemispheres, that only actually affects the body. Like, the way that the face and everything in the head is framed up is, like, attached to it, attaches differently.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was just
At least
one eye went to one hemisphere.
I'm pretty sure that's correct. But yeah, don't the eyes don't the eye nerves have like a direct line to the visual cortex?
They're pretty heavily connected, because it's a lot of data that your brain has to take in.
Yeah, especially since we have high definition vision. Like, seriously, we have better vision than cats.
Really?
Pretty sure, yeah.
I think I've heard that too, but I don't know if it's an urban myth or actually grounded in.
I mean, I know we have more colors than cats.
Yeah, but no, like cats' eyes are meant to track movement, like movement and shape, whereas we actually make like detailed pictures that we make. Like they see less color, and like their vision's like more fuzzy. Because what they're looking for is motion. They don't need definition, because they use their ears more. And their nose more. Like, basically with us, vision is our most developed super sense. But that's not true for the rest of the animals.
So what you're saying is when I'm controlling a cat, I need some way to see what they're smelling too.
Yes, you do. But yeah, yeah, but it goes back to how we used to hunt back in the day. Basically, what we did was there'd be a group of us, and we would long-range track things. So we needed to be able to see our prey, like, from a hill, like, 3 miles ahead of us, because what we'd do is we'd find one injure it, separate it from the pack, and just continue to chase it for several days until it tired out, and then we catch up to it and kill it and cut it up and carry it back.
I'm saying, the way you phrase that, it sounds like it's something that you have done. Like, back in the day, we would get our spears and track a mammoth.
Everyone needs a hobby for weekends.
Well, how do you know I'm not the golden man?
I don't get that reference.
How do you know I'm not immortal? How do you know I didn't ascend? Through hermetic alchemy.
You wouldn't be hanging out with us.
I don't know. The internet seems like a good way of hiding the fact that you don't age.
That's true.
I mean, all I see is a Spider-Man with a mustache.
Haha!
Oh my god, you're Spider-Man. It
Yes.
was real all along.
I brained up myself some web shooters.
Oh, God. John, what do you have with us for us?
Let's see. I have a couple of short news items. Recently, some scientists at the National Institute of Standards and Technology managed to create the most accurate clock ever, which is accurate to 2 parts in a quintillion. So that's 2 parts, and then in 1 followed by 18 zeros. The way they did this is they cooled a system of ytterbium atoms to 10 microkelvin, so that's 10 millionths of a degree Kelvin, and then used that, stimulated that with a laser, and then counted how many vibrations happen. And this is the most accurate clock ever, which it's sort of it's a mind-numbing level of accuracy for one of these things. And I'm just amazed that they're able to actually get these things to work.
Here's something I've wondered, John, and maybe you can answer this. Is there a theoretical limit to how accurate a clock can be? Like, is there a resolution of time? Like, is there like the distance light travels on a Planck's length or something that is like the shortest time that's like practical in any sense?
You could define a fundamental time that way, like the speed of the Planck length divided by the speed of light. Does that give the right units? Yeah, that should give units of seconds. So that would give you a minimum time, and we're absolutely nowhere near that. But
okay, something I was always wondered, like, is time almost analog like that? Like, it's like one moment after another.
So.
That'd be digital.
Yeah, that'd be
right, digital.
I think a question like that is something that it's more we don't know. I mean, the more accurate we get with timekeeping, the closer, the more precisely we can measure that. It's like any quantity in physics. Like, is the speed of light constant? Well, within certain experimental bounds, it is. And those experimental bounds are ridiculously good. So is time continuous? Well, as far as we can tell, it is. But you can always say, well, let's go more precise. So it's just about shrinking those error bars.
Okay, cool.
There are theories that have...
Shrinking the segments.
Yeah, it's like any experiment. There's experimental error, and the smaller you can get that, the closer to the more extreme environments you can test your theory in. I don't know if that was coherent, but anyway.
We're gonna test the speed of light in this volcano!
Extreme!
I mean, that's one of the things that experiment at CERN tried testing with those faster-than-light neutrinos, is they were trying to test, well, is the speed of light the absolute maximum? So they set up an experiment to do that.
Turns out it was.
Yeah. For a few shining months, they thought maybe they'd found something moving faster than the speed of light.
Wouldn't that have been just awesome? I mean, everyone's like really skeptical, but really hoping, like, deep down inside, like, I want this to be a thing.
Yeah, it would have been really, really cool if it hadn't been false, because there's a lot of physics that wouldn't make any sense. Like there's previous observations that we've seen really high energy neutrinos, and they should have lost all their energy by the time they should lose their energy really quickly to processes that wouldn't happen if they were traveling slower than light. So,
oh wow,
it would have broken our understanding of physics pretty badly if we'd found these neutrinos moving faster than light. We would have been like, we have no idea what's going on.
I have a feeling that a lot of scientists would consider that to be a good thing, because like think about science as like food. You're looking at the shit on the plate and you're just like, it's almost done. You're just like, oh, my delicious food is almost over. And then somebody like reboots your plate, like, here, more. And you're like, yay, more food. Yay, more science that you have to figure out. I can get glory. I can get glory. More glory to go around for everybody all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's disproving something as long held in science like that is sort of the holy grail of most scientists I know. It's like if you can poke a hole in in one of these theories that's actually there, it's awesome. It makes your day.
And it would justify being able to walk around with your own theme music playing everywhere you go. Just like, the fucking Bee Gees, man. Yeah, I'm hot shit.
I think I'd pick something a bit more pretentious, like O Fortuna. Just have this loud classical music following you.
Well, Or Fortuna and disco both have the same upside of being able to justify wearing a cape.
I don't think disco justifies wearing a cape.
Yeah, it does. Dude, like in the disco movies, there's motherfuckers wearing capes. Like, look at Elvis, man. Elvis wore something that looked like a disco suit, and he wore a cape with it. You gotta believe that people copied that. You know it.
I'll take your word for it, Chad.
Yeah, because I was born closer to the 70s than you.
Sure were. Alright, John, let's wrap this up with something good.
Okay, well, there was a Brazilian citation scheme outed recently. So basically, one of the currencies that you have as a scientist is how well cited your work is. So something that I've run into a lot on YouTube is people say, well, your research doesn't count unless it's been peer-reviewed. And that's sort of the bare minimum of having a scientific paper. What you really want is other people to sort of take your paper and build new science on top of it. And a way of measuring that is how many people cite it. So how many people's papers reference your work. And most journals, or people who measure this to see how important various journals are, have things to keep people from cheating. So I say, well, I'll just cite every one of my old papers. That makes it look like all my papers are more important.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of algorithms that online journals use and people who rank various journals use to make sure people don't do that, because it's cheating, basically. And apparently several groups of journals that said, oh, well, what if we colluded? And they started citing, so instead of cheating and citing all their own work, they would cite another journal's work, and that journal would then in return cite their work. So basically they're trying to cheat to make their research seem more important, more influential. But one of the services that sort of ranks these, they calls it Thomson Reuters. They implemented a new way of searching for people who cheat like this and found a bunch. And among them, several Brazilian journals were kicked out, at least for a little while.
So they were just kicked out of the science club?
Well, not the science club, but like the service that sort of rates how important your journal is. They just said, well, we're not going to be rating your journal. You don't get to have you don't get to be rated on for several years before, whereas everyone else, like Nature, is way up there because everyone cites papers from Nature, or Science. Those are sort of very, very high impact journals. If you publish something in those.
There's a science journal called Science.
Yep,
it's like the journal.
Yeah, it's Science and Nature are two of the biggest journals. So if someone publishes a paper in there, then chances are it will be cited by a lot of people. Whereas
Peeps. You go ahead, Q.
I was gonna say, basically, the shorter the journal title, the better.
Yeah, like if you're uber specific in your title, it means you're probably not as important as Science.
Psst, John, you forgot to use the word fluffer.
Oh.
What's this about Fluffers? I was waiting for it. I was
know,
waiting
me
for
too.
it.
Sorry, it slipped my mind. Brazilian journals were fluffing their citation counts.
Yeah.
What's this about Fluffers?
Yeah, before recording, let's deconstruct the joke. John referred to it as fluffing citations. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna. I just might cut out that citation and just edit in the bit right there to look like it happened. You know I can. You know I can make that shit smooth as ice.
You have the power.
I'm just saying.
I have the power.
If someone makes fluffing citation a thing in Urban Dictionary, I'd be very interested to see what Yeah, and leave that in the comments. How would you define fluffing citations?
Oh dear God. That is going to be the title of this blog.
Oh God.
Brazilian citation fluffers with the Gentleman Physicist.
Oh God.
Oh God, I just realized that citation also means whale. Oh dear.
No, that's citation, isn't it? With a E. It's
But it
not spelled the same.
sounds similar.
Yeah.
Now I have the weirdest mental image. Thanks, guy.
Mission accomplished.
Yep. All of this was a setup just to give you that weird image. And we're going to see if maybe invoking that weird image over and over again can make you work for us. Forever. As our slave.
Yeah.
Because we're going to put a helmet on you. Watch out.
Let's cut the podcast right there.
Yes. Shishing!
By the way, Jack, maybe cut out the part where I asked for a dead body.
Fuck no. That's staying in. That's staying in. That's staying in.